A week of high-profile hostage negotiations. First Iran and Italy, and now Israel and Hamas. The Middle East appears to be gripped by hostage diplomacy, but how prevalent is it? And does this trend stem from Iran? Joining us from Syria is Nizar Zakka, a US citizen and Lebanese national who was imprisoned in Iran for 4 years after being invited to the country by a government official for a state-sponsored conference. He was kidnapped by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and arbitrarily detained from 2015 to 2019.
On my way back to the airport, a car with civilian people came, stopped my taxi, they took me down, they blindfolded me and took me to a place. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know if they were ISIS, they were whoever it is, or Al-Qaeda or whoever, because I don't know. I don't even speak the language. It was completely confusing for me, and it was a very hard time in my life.
He's now the president of Hostage Aid Worldwide, a U.S. organization focused on the release of hostages. Nizar is turning his pain into action, helping to locate Austin Tice, a U.S. journalist detained in Assad, Syria, who is now missing. I'm Negar Moshahedi, and this is Eye for Iran. Nizar Zakka from Damascus, Syria, thank you so much. And I know you're very busy, so thank you for your time. Let's start off by telling our audience why you're in Syria and what got you involved in the case of Austin Tice.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having me. It's always great to be on your station. So mainly I am in Syria currently to follow on the case of Austin Tice. The family asked me and the organization I work for to lead the effort in finding and searching for Austin Tice, an American journalist who's missing in Syria for the past 12 years. So as a former hostage and as a leader, as the head of Hostage Aid Worldwide, I felt it's my duty and my responsibility to go to Damascus on the day the regime fell, and since then I have been in Damascus searching for Austin and going from place to place, from cell to cell, trying to search, because we believe that Austin is still in Syria and is being hidden in one of these safe houses.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And can you tell us what you're discovering and possibly the memories and similarities and parallels that this is bringing back for you as someone who spent 4 years in Iran's notorious Evin prison?
Well, in fact, there is a lot of similarities. When you go to these cells, cell after cell, I look at things different from others. I have a large team with me, but each one will look at some things. For me, I look at where people will write on the wall in the areas where we used to write when we were in solitary confinement. Looking at this solitary confinement, the way they have the blankets on the ground, and it's very, very similar. It looks like the IRGC and the Syrian regime had the same training about torture and giving hard time to innocent people. So anyway, so what I go to these cells and it's painful. When I go into cell, I am always worried that the door will lock behind me or something like that. It's a tough time I am spending, but it's a job I have to do, and I have to make sure to put an end. This is a commitment I made to myself after I was taken hostage for 4 years in Iran for no crime, for nothing. I have never even got a traffic ticket, a speeding ticket. I never got a speeding ticket in my life. So it was really painful to see that that this injustice that happened to me. I wanted to make sure that it will not happen to anyone, and this is why I am Syria, and I want to make sure that we will put an end to this hostage business model that it's growing every day. So this is what I am doing, and I will do it until we win.
That is very admirable. And take us back to the day where you were arrested in Iran. I mean, you were invited there by a government official for a state-sponsored conference. Of course, you were accused of spying like most foreign hostages are. That's kind of the typical line that they have there. Take us back to that day.
it was a very, very bad day. Honestly, it was one. I was invited to Iran by the vice president of Iran. Okay, so to speak at her conference, and it was a conference about the role of technology in women empowerment. So I went there. I made my speech, and on my way back to the airport, a car with civilian people came, stopped my taxi. They took me down. They blindfolded me and took me to a place. I didn't know who they were. I didn't know if they were ISIS, they were whoever it is, or Al-Qaeda, or whoever, because I don't know. I don't even speak the language. It was completely confusing for me, and it was a very hard time in my life. I spent 4 years. It was a lot of pain, but on the other hand, I had to meet a lot of good people in Evin over this past 4 years. So as I say to people, when I spent 4 years in Evin, one thing that was really surprising, that I haven't met one single criminal in my 4 years over there.
Wow.
They were all nice, kind people, sweet people, doctors, professors, intellect. Everybody was it was all good people. Right? So, and they were all at this prison of Evin. So I repeat this also very often, but I have to say it that when I was in Syria and I saw what's going on, I met with the leaders of Syria, and they said, we're going to stop. We will never do what the Assad regime did. I tell them, look, this is what when the regime in Iran came, this Islamic regime in Iran said, we will never do what the Shah did, and they're going to close down Evin. And then till today, Evin, after 40 years, Evin is open as a prison, is operating to arrest innocent people and take hostages and torture people. And I hope you will not do the same mistake, and you make sure that you will close all these prisons and make sure that you will only open the prisons are based on international standards and the human right, on the basis of human right and the human dignity. So I hope the new Syrian regime or the new Syrian government will make sure that to close all these prisons. They are so ugly. You will never imagine how ugly these places are. It's so much pain just by going into it. It's just rooms of 2 by 4 meters that people spend with no lights. They spend days and days in it. I don't understand why anyone will torture someone so much. So I just hope all these things will end. I work very hard to make sure this will end, and I am sure if we all put our hands together, we're gonna put an end to this.
I'm very sorry for what you're going through and all the flashbacks that you're getting. But thank you for what you're doing. It's very courageous of you, and again, turning your grief and your pain into positive action. Based on your conversations now with these Syrian leaders, are you confident that they're going to take the advice and not repeat what the former regime did?
Yes, I'm not. It's a very hard time for Syria and for the Syrian people and for this new Syrian government. There is a lot of work that needs to be done, and it's always the easiest way to control things is by always the first victim in anything is the human rights. So I hope they will not take the shortcut and violate the human rights in order to have a shortcut in achieving their objective. I really hope they will not do that, because every human right violation is always done under the pretext of national security. So I really hope that they will be smart enough to overcome any obstacle while respecting the human rights and the human dignity.
And sorry, just to clarify, do you feel that they will do that or not?
I know it's a very hard time they're going through. It's a very difficult what they're going through. So I don't know. I cannot tell you. I don't know. I honestly don't.
It's too early to tell, right?
Yes, exactly.
And let's talk about the big news, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, your role and what you make of it.
I love it. I did a lot. I worked a lot. Yesterday on Israeli TV on Channel 12, they said that the ceasefire was made because of my advocacy and my work, my pressure toward asking President Trump to pressure Bibi Netanyahu. It was on TV in Israel. In fact, we did a lot. We texted a lot. We asked him to. We explained to President Trump that if he will, by any chance, if he will accept to make a deal for only 4 Americans and leave the rest behind, this is like he is signing the death certificate for all the other hostages in Gaza. So that's why, and that Bibi Netanyahu will kill everybody. So President Trump understood that, and he insisted that all the hostages, it will be a ceasefire, a complete release of hostages. This is extremely good news, and I am so glad that our effort paid off a little bit. Like we had a small contribution to this effort by explaining the risks on hostages by leaving people behind.
And do you feel in any way that Iran's success with hostage diplomacy may have influenced October 7th itself and the taking of hostages? Is there any connection with that and the potential deal that's happening between Hamas and Israel?
Well, the whole concept of hostage taking has been created and developed by Iran, by the Iranian, by Islamic Republic of Iran. They have done it. It became a business, a normal business, and they built their foreign policy based on hostage taking. And obviously, Hamas, when they took the hostages, they had this in mind that they're gonna swap the hostages, that they're gonna make a big deal out of the hostages. So it's all a system that was developed, trained, and created by Iran. So it's what happened today. It's a big lesson that this will not work. And our duty as people who are working on stopping hostage taking around the world is to make sure that we do the swap, we get the people home, but after that we take a very hard line and strict policy about to make sure that Iran will never dare do that directly or through its proxy. How we do that is first by unifying the world behind a normal understanding against hostage taking, like having the UN taking a position to making a convention, improving the convention against hostage taking. There is a lot of tools that can be done. The world need to stand unified. We cannot let the Iranian regime negotiate with each country separately, take hostages, get away with it. So we need to stand together as an international community against hostage taking. And I believe we're achieving this. We have achieved a lot the past year at the UN by bringing everybody to understand that hostage taking is not acceptable and will not be tolerated anymore. And I can assure you that it is becoming clearer every day. And I can tell, and this you can tell, Iran is not, it's thinking twice now before taking hostages anymore.
Do you think that this may lead to potentially other entities holding people hostage to get some sort of deal? I believe the Hamas leader in Gaza, Khalil al-Hayya, said in a speech from Qatar that, October 7th attack on Israel was, quote, will forever be a source of pride for our people, and that they're going to repeat in October 7th. Do you think that that's just bluster, or that this shows them with the release of Palestinian prisoners that they can achieve what they want somehow?
Look, this terrorist can say whatever, but what happened today, what's happening, the people of Gaza, the Palestinian people will never let this happen again. They will never let people like Hamas do this again. And I am sure that the world will not let this happen, because we saw what happened, the atrocities that happened, the harm that happened to a lot of people. So we as people, we need to make sure to put an end to this and to make sure this will not happen. We are humans, I talked to a lot of families of hostages, and I talked to a lot of family of hostages in Gaza. And, they are the wisest people in this crazy conflict between Bibi Netanyahu and Hamas. They are both crazy, in my opinion. The only innocent, like the people who are suffering the most are the families who doesn't want anything except to get their loved one home and finish all this mess. So I really hope that this cycle of violence will end and we will all live. I don't only hope, I'm not like just trying to say I hope, I am working toward making sure that this will never happen again.
And as you mentioned, they're the only ones who truly understand that pain. And it's something that you went through. So you have this deep personal connection that no politician, that no one can understand but you guys.
Definitely. We as an organization, as former hostages, we know how much pain a hostage will get from the inside as a hostage and from the people on the outside. Today, these people, these hostages, when we were, I go back to this story that when I was a hostage, I was always wanting an F-16, an American F-16 to come and bomb the hell out of the IRGC and release us. But today, after what happened in Gaza, if I am a hostage, I would be worried an F-16 to fly over me because in Gaza, the F-16 bombed the hostages. This is crazy. Like this hostage is from one side, he has the terrorists taking him hostage. From the other side, his country bombing him. This is crazy. Honestly, I have never seen anything like that. I feel so much for these people because they're bombed by Israel, their own country, and they're taken hostage by Hamas using them as a human shields. What is this? This is crazy, honestly.
There's definitely no real winners in that kind of situation. You're right. Let's talk about the recent case of an Italian journalist, Cecilia Sala. Yeah. She was in Iran on a work visa reporting, and she was detained for at least 3 weeks. The Islamic Republic of Iran says based on violating Islamic code, but we don't have any details on that. And then after she's released, a few days later, an Iranian national who was being held in Italy is then sent back to Iran. What did you make of that whole case?
Okay, so this is the Iranian are expert in this game, playing the game of taking hostages for people who are arrested legally arrested under a due process, with a due process. That's the problem. They have been doing that forever, and this is a deal that happened between Italy and Iran. And obviously, we understandably what they did is this woman start asking few questions, and then they found a reason to arrest her. While probably it wasn't like they took her Actually, they took her because they wanted to release a person in Italy. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken her. It is the game they play. Usually they wanted concessions, political concessions. Now they are just taking to do swap one-on-one in order to release, like they did with Assadi, like they did with other. They release a criminal against an innocent person. This is how they work. The world need to work together. They need to unify, and they need to have a unified action. All these countries, it has to be, you take a hostage, all these countries, they have to act as one. They cannot keep letting Iran playing with each country alone.
Wow. So talk more about your efforts at Hostage Aid Worldwide to try and prevent this from happening.
So we are working with at the UN level. There is in fact, it's funny because there is a convention at the UN called International Convention Against Hostage Taking that was signed in 1979 and ratified in 84, I guess, and signed even by Iran and other country. And guess what? Nobody knows that it exists. Okay, not even the Secretary General of the UN didn't know that it exists.
Really?
Yes, and we told him, you have this convention at the US. What convention? And then they looked at it. But obviously, this convention didn't have enough strengths or tools to punish whoever violate this convention. So what we are trying to do, we're trying to modify it, to give it a little more strength in order to have a clear clear terms that will punish anyone who violate this convention, deterrence. And we are working with a lot of people at the UN in order to achieve this, and we are doing a good job so far in this, and with everyone. And we have a group now working with Georgetown University in order to submit the recommended amendments to the convention.
And what types of punishments would that include? Would that be like sanctions or jail time,
First, it has to be unified by every country, because at this time, we can do that. We can have like everybody to make same action, not one person. Like what has been done for example, by the IRGC so far. You will get, they will play with the French, and then one day they will say they will make a swap with the Brits, so they play with, they coordinate or they negotiate with each country separately, and each country think that they are a very smart negotiator. In fact, it's the IRGC who's playing these countries, because today you want something from Italy, they negotiate with Italy. You want another country, they play with another country. And this is what they need to have. All these countries want to negotiate together in one stop shop, to have one center. You have a hostage, you go to the UN, to this place, and let the UN deal with it, and let a country like Iran deal with the entire world, not to deal with one country separately. So this is how I look at it, and I believe it's doable, because we are global citizens, and we have to be protected. It doesn't matter if you French or you German or you Palestinian or you are whatever. Every person needs to be protected.
And obviously, as you said, you and your organization worked really hard to bring about the ceasefire that we're seeing right now between Israel and Hamas.
And we're successful. We made it happen.
Amazing. And you had those conversations with President-elect Donald Trump. Why do you suppose this couldn't have happened under the Biden administration? What were the conversations like with the Democrats earlier?
It's not about Democrat or Republican, but President Trump has always been really good and really firm toward helping and not helping Americans, and not to leave anyone behind. It's different than President Biden, who has been always trying to negotiate, not to be very firm in international politics. So this is why I believe we are on the right track. We are really on the right track with President Trump. And when talking to him, we ask him please to make a statement, to be firm. And then he issued a very strong tweet in line with what we recommend, to say that on January 20th, he doesn't want to have anyone in Gaza. He was very firm against. He said, if you read carefully what he said, he didn't say, I will punish Gaza, or I will punish. He said, everybody in the Middle East will see that. So he grouped everybody. So he asking everyone to work together and find a solution. This is President Trump. He told them, go fix your damn problem and get the hostages home. For me, this is the approach. Get the hostages home and then finish your problems differently. So I really respect what he did, and I think he's a good man when it comes to hostage taking and freeing people and making sure that we don't leave anyone behind.
That's fascinating. So I guess you have a positive outlook on what we are to see, I guess, overall in the Middle East under President Trump's administration.
You can see now how in Lebanon they have a president. In Syria, the dictator is gone. In Gaza, they signed today the peace. Everything is going well, just like, and only days before his arrival, and everybody is getting getting their stuff fixed. because they know he's coming and he's going to get things fixed.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Good observation there. And Nizar, do you have any closing remarks? I know it's very late at night in Syria. I know that you're on the search for this U.S. journalist who's been missing, Austin Tice. Is there anything that you'd like to add that you want to get out there?
I want just to ask President Putin to help us, ask Assad to get us Austin back home. Austin was taken by the Assad family as safety for them not to face the same fate as Gaddafi. Okay, so and they kept him in a safe house. So now they have it in a safe house. All what we're asking President Putin to pressure Assad to tell us where he is and to put an end to this, and to President Putin to make a big gift to the American people and to President Putin by returning Austin Tice to his family on January 20th.
And without jeopardizing your search, are you able to tell us why you believe he's in a safe house? Again, if that jeopardizes anything, please don't share it. But
we believe he is. We know he is in a safe house.
Actually, one more question. I just want to know, what is your message to Iran, to the government of Iran, after everything that you've been through and post, your new life, trying to bring about change and helping all these people and everything that's happened since, October 7th for you? What is your message?
I will do a message to, I just want people to know the Iranian people are the most powerful people in this world. They kept on getting setbacks, and they continue, they protest, they stand up to what is right. And this regime cannot, he's losing. They know they're losing this. So all what I suggest, if they can do a peaceful transition and peaceful turning to democracy in a peaceful way, it will be so good for the Persian people, for the Iranian people. It will be so good. So if they do it, if they are wise, if they can be wise for once and do that, otherwise it will be bloody, it will be ugly, but they know they're going. They cannot stay. Iranian people cannot be oppressed like this because, the regime has nothing to do with the Iranian. Honestly, like if it's not Iranian. They have been for 40 years, and and they were not able to convert one baby yet into their thinking. So I think they know they're going. They're not staying. So I just hope they can do it in a smart way, in a transitional way, where they keep peace and go to democracy slowly and peacefully. And I know this is doable, and this will be saving life in Iran. Iran deserves to live to its potential, and the potential. Just unleash the potential of the young people of Iran. There's such wonderful people and such smart people that the sky is the limit. So I don't understand why to block such a talent. I don't understand it. So I hope somebody in Iran will be wise to do that.
It's so lovely to meet you digitally, nevertheless. But thank you.
Thank you, Nigel. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, leave us a comment. The Eye for Iran podcast series is created by Iran International, the go-to destination for expert Iranian news in both Farsi and English. For more, head to our dedicated English website, iranintl.com/en.